How many times have you opened a conversation and immediately lowered your status without realizing it? It usually begins the same way: automatic, polite, predictable. How are you? It sounds harmless, but harmless is rarely powerful. It creates no tension, no distinction, no presence. It places you in the same category as everyone else running the same social script, hoping to be remembered differently. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Respect is not usually lost in arguments. It is lost in the first 5 seconds. In tone, in posture, in emotional positioning. The way you enter a conversation silently tells people how to rank you. Most people are not disrespected loudly. They are quietly downgraded because their presence feels ordinary. When you open with low energy, you invite low engagement. When you open with neutrality, you receive neutrality. And when you chase connection too quickly, you signal that you need something. Needing shifts power. Calmness stabilizes it. If you want people to feel a difference when you speak, you do not need louder words. You need stronger positioning. Today, I am going to give you 4 simple words. 4 controlled responses that subtly change the emotional frame of any interaction. These are not tricks. They are not manipulation. They are signals. And signals determine status. Before we get into them, understand this. Most social interactions are emotional negotiations. Who reacts first? Who explains first? Who fills silence first? Who seeks approval first? The person who rushes gives up ground. The person who stays composed keeps it. The first word is understand. When someone speaks, most people interrupt internally. They prepare a reply. They defend. They compete. But when you look someone in the eye and calmly say, "I understand," you remove friction. You are not surrendering. You are not agreeing blindly. You are acknowledging perspective without emotional volatility. That pause after you say it is powerful. It communicates steadiness. It tells the other person they do not need to push harder to be heard. And here is what happens psychologically. When someone feels understood, their guard lowers. When their guard lowers, their tone softens. When their tone softens, the dynamic equalizes. You did not argue. You did not submit. You stabilize the exchange. That is quiet authority. The second word is fair. Used precisely, it is disarming. When someone explains themselves and you respond with, "That's fair," you demonstrate emotional control. You are not defensive. You are not scrambling to win. You are assessing, and assessment signals maturity. Reactive people argue. Grounded people evaluate. There is power in acknowledging validity without giving away your frame. "That's fair," tells the other person you are listening from strength, not insecurity. It communicates that you are secure enough to recognize logic without feeling threatened by it. This is how high-status individuals speak. They do not panic when challenged. They process. The third word is interesting. This one shifts the dynamic immediately. When someone says something provocative, instead of reacting emotionally, you say, "Interesting." Then you pause. That pause forces them to elaborate. It keeps you calm while they reveal more. You remain in observation mode. You are not triggered. You are not flustered. You are steady. Emotion is contagious, but so is composure. When you respond with controlled curiosity instead of quick reaction, you keep your position elevated. The one who reacts loses frame. The one who observes controls it. Interesting is not agreement, it is distance, and distance protects authority. If this kind of psychological precision resonates with you and you value practical ways to strengthen your presence, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next lesson. Not because you need motivation, but because consistent awareness compounds. The fourth word is listening. In a world where everyone waits to speak, saying, "I'm listening," and meaning it creates gravity. No phone, no interruption, no rehearsing your reply, just controlled attention. Attention is rare, and rarity creates value. When you give someone deliberate attention, you communicate that you choose where your focus goes. You are not scattered. You are not desperate to jump in. You are composed enough to hold silence. Silence makes people slightly uncomfortable. And the one who can tolerate that discomfort without filling it often gains subtle dominance in the interaction. Now here is the shift. Replace "how are you" with this instead. What's your focus lately? Notice the difference. It assumes direction. It assumes purpose. It frames the conversation around progress, not mood. Most greetings invite small talk. This invites substance. When you ask someone what they are focused on, you elevate the tone. You signal that you are interested in momentum, not surface-level chatter. And people respond differently when they feel you expect something meaningful from them. The energy shifts from passive to intentional. This is not about charm. It is about positioning. You are not chasing connection. You are setting the tone for it. And tone determines hierarchy. When you speak with steadiness, when you validate without surrendering, when you remain curious without reacting, you quietly rise in perception. Understand, fair, interesting, listening. 4 simple words. But when delivered calmly, they signal emotional discipline. And discipline commands respect. Now let's go deeper. Why does this work? Because people subconsciously test stability. Not aggressively, subtly. They watch how quickly you react, how quickly you explain, how quickly you justify. The faster you scramble, the lower you appear in the hierarchy of the interaction. Calm responses slow the pace. And the person who controls pace controls perception. Most men lose respect not because they are weak, but because they are too eager, too reactive, too quick to prove themselves. They mistake enthusiasm for strength, but strength feels measured, controlled, deliberate. When you speak less but speak precisely, people lean in. When you pause before replying, people sense weight behind your words. When you acknowledge without collapsing into agreement, people register maturity. This is how respect shifts. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. And here is something important. Do not overuse these words. Discipline is what makes them effective. If you say "interesting" to everything, it loses power. If you say "that's fair" without thinking, it becomes filler. Precision is key. Each word must feel intentional. The goal is not to manipulate, it is to remain centered, because the person who controls their responses controls the interaction. When you stop performing and start positioning, people feel it immediately. The shift is subtle, but it is real. Now reflect on your own behavior. How often do you rush to fill silence? How often do you over-explain to avoid tension? How often do you soften your tone to avoid discomfort? These are small habits, but small habits shape perception. Respect grows in restraint, authority grows in composure, and presence grows when you stop speaking to be liked and start speaking with intention. You do not need louder words, you need fewer, stronger ones. Which of these 4 will you use first? Understand, fair, interesting, or listening? Choose one. Apply it today, not aggressively, not theatrically, calmly, because real status does not announce itself. It is felt. And when your presence is felt, people respond differently before they even realize why. That is the shift.